Yeah, definitely the deck has the capability of coming from behind in many losing situations. The combination of Bonfire, the Dam, and Thrytos gives it a lot of staying power and powerful top decks in losing or neutral boards. So
Right, right.
Alex is our first overall seed in the tournament, so he's going to be starting off the action with its first turn to Overgrown Tomb.
Alright, so Devin now is going to want to have a 1-drop here. I see an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Pretty good. Can't really hope for anything better.
A lot of the power level of Naya mid-range is the opening of turn 1 mana accelerate into one of the powerful 3-drops, whether it be Boros Reckoner, Lockstone Splinter, or ideally Domri.
Domri, yeah, definitely. Especially against if Jund doesn't have a Farseek here and Devin untaps and plays a turn 2 Domri, you're going to see a pretty good board state from Naya. But it looks like he does have the Farseek and he will be getting his 3rd land here. It's kind of like going first twice.
Yeah, the difference in Jund having the Farseek on the 2nd turn versus not having it in terms of the development on turns 3, 4, and 5 is just a world of difference.
It is a world of difference. It just the matches that you see Jund really dominate has that turn 2 Farseek. When they don't, they're trying to play a more of a control game, especially when they're on the draw and they have to be on their heels using removal rather than playing that turn 3 Huntmaster into Thrytos.
And especially when so many of their cards are 2 or 3 mana, it's hard for them to chain together multiple spells in the same turn without the assistance of that.
Right. And we've seen them get bottlenecked on 4 mana and they're pretty much tapping out for one thing. It's not going to be the best situation for him. Now, let's see what he has here. Definitely a 3-mana spell, and it's going to be Domri, ideally, and in play. On the draw, obviously not as great, but still pretty good. Hard for Jund to deal with.
Both players off to one of the better starts their decks can generate, although Devin misses on his Domri reveal.
And we have 1 copy of Dreadbore in Alex's deck. It'd be nice if you had that 1 Dreadbore, right?
Well, he can kind of go toe-to-toe with Domri depending on how much power in his hand. Between the X-Spells in Bonfire and Rakdos Return and Thrytusk and Huntmaster, it's less susceptible to just getting blown out of the game by Domri than some other control decks, but still, the faster he can answer that thing, the better.
When you have X-Spells in your deck, I would never consider Jund in the camp of I'm scared of Planeswalkers. They've just been able to deal with them so well. And we saw Alex yesterday rip that Rakdos Return to deal with the Garruk on the other side, killing Garruk and taking his hand out. That's just something that Jund is used to doing.
So you see Huntmaster of the Fells from Alex.
Alright, so Devin obviously did not have a creature on top because he drew Selesnya Charm. Looks like he is going to plus Domri here first, unless he has a Boros Reckoner, then it's fight time, or Smiter maybe. He does have a Voice of Resurgence, so that's a curious play. Possibly playing that into fight, but we know that if he does that, he's going to lose his Domri to the Rakdos Return.
So, Domri reveals a single main deck copy of Hellrider, which is the draw for Devin.
And I think I see Ooze, I see Voice, I see Hellrider, I see Selesnya Charm. So he has a slew of powerful spells. However, he doesn't want to leave himself open to a Huntmaster. Flipping would be a disaster, I think. It would kill his Avacyn's Pilgrim or whatever he plays here. Also, it would knock Domri down, leaving Alex with a 4/4. Not quite enough for Selesnya Charm to take out.
So you see Devin simply add Voice of Resurgence, trying to give himself maximum flexibility to be able to respond with the Selesnya Charm.
I like this play. Therefore, Huntmaster can't flip. My thoughts exactly. I think a lot of people might have thought I want to play out this Hellrider, this Ooze, and this Voice. I'm glad he's holding back for the Selesnya Charm. So Alex mulling over his options here.
Remember, both players get access to each other's deck lists during the elimination round, so showing that Hellrider and then only playing Voice has to be setting off some sort of warning bells in Alex's hand that there could be a Selesnya Charm.
There has to be something.
Possibly a Boros Charm.
Right.
And
you're dead on. He needs to have that read because he also paid 2 life to play land with tap. There's just no way you would do that without one of those. Oh, and he's going to try anyway, and he's going to.
I don't think his hand has too much positive stuff to play. He could have played
a Garruk over there. I can't see that green card.
It's a Scavenging Ooze, which wouldn't have been that productive to play here. So.
Right. I think they're I think you need a return, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know if passing the turn is a winning strategy here.
I think returning for 3 there is pretty rough for Alex. I don't think it gets him terribly far. It
Right.
doesn't kill Domri, nor does it. Devin's got a pretty full hand. I
Right.
think he's got to sit a little bit longer on that.
I guess he's just in a bad situation at this point. I think we're going to see Domri really take over here. We're going to have a Hell Rider. I think we're going to have a fight situation. I think he's just going to be able to get a massive amount of damage in. Also, the best part about this is Voice Resurgence pretty much guarantees that Domri will not die on any kind of return attack, because holding that back allows, go ahead and kill my guy. I'm going to have a 4/4 or 5/5 in play. And he does fight. Dangerous play, I think. A removal spell here would be pretty potent, but we know that Alex has nothing, nada.
Yeah, he doesn't have.
He's tapping mana. I thought he didn't have anything. He must have Petrified. He does have it. Yep. So he gets a voice token. Not too shabby, right?
Yeah, I think that's the reason Devin's willing to take that risk. There is the worst case scenario basically involves Putrefy, and
Right.
that triggers voice, and life goes on.
Life does go on, yeah. This is not a blowout by any means. It definitely isn't ideal, but it's not too bad. I think Alex gets away pretty decently here, because now he's going to be able to untap, Rakdos Return, kill Domri, and just pretty much have to deal with a couple creatures on board. Oh, that's going to be for his whole hand, too. That's it. So actually, this works out pretty ideally. Do not miracle that bonfire. It is time to return if he hasn't. He's just going to think for a minute, but I think we all know what's happening here.
I would be hard pressed to get away from this play. It's just got to make sure that there's not so much damage coming on the way back that his board gets too compromised. But
Right.
Alex is still a pretty healthy life total. He has Thragtusk in his hand as well to follow up with the next turn.
So. Oh yeah, he is. I definitely put this game right now in Alex's hand to misplay, but he is not going to. He's going to return like a good Jund Mage does when your opponent has 3 counters on Domri and 3 cards in hand. Pretty simplistic. Devin sees the bad news and loses everything.
Still, Devin's got a fairly advanced board. He's got a voice token. Again, the voice of researchers itself. The risk here, of course, is that he needs to also draw spells to prevent that Huntmaster from flipping.
Right, Huntmaster flip here would be a disaster. Not only killing creatures, but shrinking the token as well. He does draw a spell, not a bad one.
Yeah.
I think he's going to attack with everything besides the Pilgrim here.
I don't think he can get in the voice just yet. I think he still needs to hold back on that.
Yeah, they'll see. A Bonfire Miracle would make that a real bad play to attack with a voice. However, pretty tough to beat 2 5/5s.
Let's see if Alex is willing to trade his wolf here for a knight potentially.
Oh, do you think he's going to... He's definitely not going to block with the Huntmaster.
I don't know if that's necessarily true if he plans on playing spells for the next couple of turns.
Right. He's going to hold it. I mean, chump blocking here when you're at 18 I don't think is necessary. It'd be a pretty interesting chump block. I pretty much don't chump block unless I'm dead, so it'd have to be, or, on the road to being dead here.
So Alex now starting to swing the game around. There's still a lot of very powerful draws in Devin's deck, especially Thundermaw Hellkite, where there's 4 copies of, but he's starting to do the Jund thing of blocking up the ground and gaining some life and giving himself some breathing space to allow some of the more powerful elements of his deck to take over.
Right. Alex is only 17, so, young child doing well in Magic. I always like to see that. This is his first accomplishment. Hats off to him. And I think he's playing pretty well in this tournament.
No, his play's been very solid. And Devin's still really necessary to draw spells, not only to keep his head above water just in the way the game's playing out, but also to avoid that Huntmaster.
Right. I think we want to see another Domri copy here if I'm Devin, but he has a Pilgrim. Obviously better than a land here, but not much better than a land. Does make his token bigger.
You see an attack here with the 5/5 elemental token and Lockstone Smiter, holding back his 2-mana creatures and his voice.
Yes, so the graveyard here, I think Thragtusk jumps in front of Elemental. Pretty sure. I wouldn't fault him for blocking the Smiter. They're pretty much the same size. Elemental has potential for getting bigger. Smiter is locked in at the 4/4. You think it's? I think it's marginal. What do you think?
I think that the thing is, if Devin draws nothing next turn, it's fairly easy for Alex to win. So he should be blocking, assuming the worst case scenario, which is Devin draws a pretty productive creature.
Okay.
Because if he whiffs, your Huntmaster flips, the game's probably pretty easy to take over what your leftovers are.
Right.
What you have to be concerned with, what's his draw if he draws another Voice, a Thundermaw, Hellkite, whatever.
Right,
What's
yeah.
your best block if that's the top card of his deck? Would be the way that I would approach the problem.
So you definitely block the right way then.
Correct.
Let's see, Alex. I don't know what's in his hand. He's kind of holding it to the chest here. Guess we'll
Yeah, the
find
shorter
out.
version is block assuming he draws a creature because it's hard for you to lose if he does not.
Right, exactly. Oh man, he draws Wolfrun here. Pretty good. I like that. And of course we knew he had the ooze in his hand this entire game. He's going to play it. Not worth flipping Huntmaster. He's still waiting for Devin to whiff once, because once he does, the Huntmaster will be flipped that way.
And that ooze is just going to be another huge blocker too.
Oh yeah. I think he drew Domri. I saw a red-green card.
Devin is very quickly approaching Thundermaw or Bust territory.
Yeah.
As Alex is going to start gaining life and actually...
Oh, it is Thundermaw. Never mind.
His draw was Thundermaw, so there you go.
Pretty freaking good. But then again, that ooze, man, we have seen that just take over games. He is going to gain a ton of life here. At least 3 life, I see. He has his own Thragtusk, and Devin has a bunch of creatures in his graveyard.
And he's going to be able to start threatening, for as defensive as a game as Alex has been playing so far, the combination of Wolfrun and this giant ooze will actually allow him to start threatening lethal fairly quickly on the way back.
Especially with Kessig Wolfrun. And
Yeah.
we just got into John Rolfe won Game 1 in the Jund Mirror Match Extravaganza happening on the other side. Alright, so Alex draws. You're right. This is going to turn into an offensive by Alex, especially with that Thundermaw looking at him. He's not going to have. He can't just sit around now. But with Kessig Wolfrun, pretty much everything is lethal.
And this has
after first attack
has
here.
been a feature of mid-range decks in Standard for the last couple of years. Their ability to go from I'm on defense, now the game shifted and I can turn around and kill you in 2 turns.
Right.
It's been a prevalent feature of all the best mid-range decks in Standard for a while now. And nothing typifies that more than John. You've seen Alex here having to play removal spells and block and take this very defensive posture, but between Scavenging Ooze and Kessig Wolfrun, he's threatening lethal here in roughly 2 turns.
Right,
It shifts very quickly.
Yeah, I don't see this game lasting more than a couple more turns here, one way or the other. I know that he's thinking about it, especially whatever he draws here. If he pumps into Wolfrun and then passes, that's a pretty good play. Huntmaster will get him. But let's see what he drew here. We'll find out.
And Devin has had a lot of fortuitous draws since the Rakdos return stripped his entire hand. Because if he misses on any of these turns, not only is he short sufficient pressure to really threaten Alex, but that Huntmaster would have flipped, taken down a mana creature, been another big body in play. Huntmaster the draw for Alex. You can tell he was debating there between whether or not he wanted to play that Huntmaster or just pump a bunch of mana into Wolfrun and try to flip the previous Huntmaster in play. Decides to get a little bit more life, a little bit more of an advanced board, and now there's huge upside if Devin fails to draw a spell here.
I don't like the no attack there. I don't think Scavenging Ooze was going to be blocked by anything. Or maybe, do you think he would block with all 3 of those creatures?
It's
to kill
possible
it?
he puts Voice in front and then
Has
that's
another
another
token, yeah. I guess, there's no fault in waiting another turn. However,
Well, the
I kind of
issue
like
is
putting
that
Devin a little bit lower before playing this Huntmaster.
any chump block that you give Devin may reduce the clock that he has from 3 turns to 2.
Right.
So there is a risk in just attacking and allowing him to block and get a Voice token, I think.
Well, then again, whatever he blocks, the Wolfram will hit the next token the turn after that.
Oh, another huge draw,
Oh
Domri.
man, yeah, this is turning into quite the game. Devin is drawing pretty well. We're fighting here. I think that, honestly, with a decent attack, Devin would be at like 6 or 7 of this turn. And then Wolfram would just kill him. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point.
Yeah, there's
now.
so many variables because of the draws each player has access to,
Right.
in theory.
I think when you're at this point in the game, I think playing too safe. When like we've seen these mid-range decks just. He just drew Hellkite. Now he went from feels like 5% to 50%. You
Sure.
know, so I think that you have to take the game in your own hand at some point and attack here. I don't see Alex not attacking again. Yeah, I mean, that's a losing proposition here.
Yeah, certainly he needs to leave himself enough back on the way back, obviously, that he doesn't die. But I do agree that he needs to start threatening some amount of progress here.
Right, because Devin has no trampled capability, or Alex does. Does he have Wolf on his deck? One of, I think, right?
He has a Gavany Township, which was already stripped by the Rakdos return earlier.
Okay, so he is. You see what you get what you get right now on Devin's side. You're not going to be able to beat another Hellkite anyway. So
Well, it's possible the best play is for him to take the most defensive, for Alex to take the most defensive position possible, and just play to rip Bonfire. That may be his best path, because trying to attack through his board.
At this point, I agree with you completely. I really think he missed an attack opportunity the first time.
It's hard to say just because there's so many variables in the way that Devin can block and the draws that are available to him that an attack there might cause Devin's clock to be accelerated by 1 turn if he gets exposed to attack on the way back. So you see Alex flip the Hummaster, take down the Voice, and finish off Domri as well. And now, it's very hard for. Oh wow, what was the draw here? Another Voice. Okay. So Alex has chosen his path here. He's taking a very defensive position in the game, and if the top card of his deck is Bonfire, he's suitably rewarded for his path, and if not,
I think if his top card is Bonfire either way, I think this game would be a wrap. But yeah, if he definitely has another extra turn because he gets to eat with Scavenging Ooze and he gets to gain more life. So it's not like, Alex only has 1 more turn. He has at least 2 more turns. Then again, Devin can rip something like Boros Charm and then end the game. But we'll see. Matter of fact, if Devin had Boros Charm there, then would have been pretty close to lethal. So he draws immediately, not a Bonfire.
He wiped his hands on his sides there real quick, preparing for his Bonfire draw.
Did not happen according to plan here. I think now that the board state has regressed to what it has now, I don't think there's any way Alex can attack in a million years. He is now on Bonfire or Bust. There's not many other draws here that do a lot of work for him. Maybe a Garrick to draw 7 cards, excuse me. I'm not sure what else he could possibly draw here.
A piece of spot removal would be excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, what does he have that can kill it? He's got a Tragic Slip, which is a little difficult at this juncture. He has 1 Putrefy left that we know because he used 1 already. And of course, he's playing the full load of Bonfire the Damned. Oh, he also has a Mizium Mortar, which also might get him there. It actually kills even the Voice token, kills everything. It would leave him with 1 2/2 token after the first Voice dies here, and then the Thundermaw Hellkite, which probably would put him in the winning situation. But now, after Alex passes, he's going to go to 1 life. Actually, I don't know if he can block everything, so who knows what he's going to get to. He is.
And there's a concession. The risk from that attack is it has the potential to go very poorly if Alex has a removal spell. But again, you still have the Voice of Resurgence that will trigger if that's the case. And Alex probably loses enough of his tokens that the attack is pretty close to a push. But Devin kind of correctly reads the situation that there's not a lot of instant speed removal that Alex has access to, and even if he does, you have your Voice in play, he probably would just play it on his own turn, and so correctly assesses the situation and takes the game there.
Yeah, I think, again, the match played out just like you called it, mid-rangey. I draw Thundermaw Hellkite, I have 1 turn window, oh look, he drew Thundermaw Hellkite. I think once he drew that Hellkite, I don't think you're wrong or I'm wrong. I think there's a different line of play. I do think the attack was necessary there because otherwise he put himself in a situation where he was drawing to Bonfire or Dead, where if he would have attacked in any kind of suboptimal blocking there, then Alex is pretty much in good shape, I think.
Yeah, I definitely understand Alex's path. I think there's a reasonable chance his play is correct there to hold back because just giving himself the maximum amount of returns to draw Bonfire is his best way, probably to win the game.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know if he has another path. Like, drawing random spot removal may not be enough given how already behind he is on the board. So I sort of, I kind of like holding down the fort and just playing the Bonfire.
Yeah, he definitely he went from needing, he gave himself a few extra turns to get that Bonfire, which he wouldn't have got if he attacked. I think the attack might have gave him an out of a Putrefy or a removal spell, but you know, it is what it is.
So, as we are wont to do here, we're going to give out an opportunity to win some free premium. We gave out 3 months in the quarterfinals yesterday. We give out 6 months in the semifinals, then we give out a full year in the finals. We've had a lot of conversations this weekend about various planeswalkers. They've been defining features of some decks, and some decks are played just for value. These red-green Naya creature decks have definitely been centrally hubbed around a particular planeswalker. So for your chance to win 6 months of free premium, what is that planeswalker? Tweet the answer to @SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium. A winner will be selected at random. It's not the first person to get the answer, and it will simply be of the correct answers, one will be selected. Again, name the planeswalker that's been central to these red-green decks we've been seeing on camera.
Is it Tybalt?
It is Tybalt.
Sorry, I just gave you guys the
Sorry,
answer.
that one was too easy.
Sorry. Yeah.
So anyhow, moving on to the sideboard. Let's take a look at what these players have access to. Devin here, our Naya player, has a Mizium Mortars, a Triumph of Ferocity, 2 Bonfires, a Boros Charm, 4 Ray of Revelations, a Scavenging Ooze, 3 Unflinching Courage, and 2 copies of Selesnya Charm. I do like bringing in additional copies of Bonfire in attrition creature-oriented matchups. Bonfire is one of the most powerful tools we saw in that, or we could have seen in that game. If Alex had ever Miracle one, that would have blown the doors open in a game that Devin actually was otherwise in pretty firm control of. I like having the additional Scavenging Ooze because these games, again, go long, very creature-oriented, and very removal-heavy.
Do you think Triumph actually draws him cards in this? Besides Raktus, I think he ties or is better with his creatures later in the game.
There is the problem that I have with Triumph of Ferocity is it seems only good in games that Devin is already winning.
What about the turn 1 mana guy, turn 2 Triumph? That's pretty much locks it up on the play, I think, right?
Well, if assuming your guy sticks,
right?
But that's
a
big question mark.
Yeah.
I guess I could see bringing in the 1, but maybe if you were on the play, but on the draw, I would definitely leave it at home. And I think in general, it's supposed to be staying in the sideboard. Right.
Alex has a pretty similar sideboard of all the Jund players that we've seen recently. Lifebane Zombies coming in, of course, hits pretty much everything. An interesting card, obviously, is Rakdos Return, which it's not really bad against anything. Obviously, it's especially good when you are on the play. You're able to Farseek and then pretty much take out their hand. Without Rakdos Return, I don't think Alex would have even been in that last game, especially with his weaker start. So yeah, you definitely don't up it to 3, right? Do we keep it at 2? Do we board 1 out?
I would probably take out at least 1.
Okay.
And in that game, it part of it was Devin drew pretty well post Rakdos Return, but if you're in Alex's seat, he discarded 3 lands and then you just died to creatures. It was
right. Yeah.
kind of the nightmare scenario you have against decks like Naya.
Okay. So
on the other side of the bracket, Sean Weihe has won the 2nd game, so we're going to have a 3rd game over in our Jund Mirror.
Okay. The other cards he's going to be board in, definitely, you always look at Liliana the Veil, and it's in the sideboard. Is it a card that's good against these Voice of Resurgence creature decks? It's definitely good against non-Voice of Resurgence creature decks because when they play a Boar and you play Liliana and Edict them is great. I don't know if you bring it in here, but we'll see.
I think the Lifebane Zombies are his best tool. I think there's actually an argument for him to bring in Barter and Blood as well, but I'm not a huge fan of Liliana.
Right.
Devin lead off with a turn 1 Arbor Elf.
Yeah, Bar and Blood's another one of those. There's so many situations where these cards are either going to be, A+ or D- in kind of like what they do. So we have optimal starts here from each again. We have the turn 2 Farseek, we have the turn 1 Arbor Elf. Let's see if Alex can take the reins here on the play again. Let's see if he can avoid a turn 2 Domri. It looks like Devin has the turn 2 Reckoner from what I saw in his hand.
Reckoner is another card that, it shifted out of metagame prevalence for a little while for a variety of reasons, but whenever it's in play against creature decks or red decks, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, nobody wants to kill that guy in the red conventional way. I do not see a Domri. I do see a couple of voices. I think I see a Scavenging Ooze. But here comes the Reckoner, I believe.
So turn 2 Reckoner Devin again, a nice start of a turn 1 accelerant and one of his good turn 2 plays.
What if he has that Barter you're talking about? Would it be just the best here?
It would be, Barter and Blow would be insane here.
Yeah, I mean, here's a situation where nothing's better. I see an Olivia. I don't know if that's coming. If he has the Barter, it's going to be easy. Olivia is also pretty good here.
Yeah.
Anytime you see an Arbor Elf and you have turn 3 Olivia, you're pretty excited.
And this is one of the nice things about having access to deck lists. If you're
Celestial Charm.
if you're in Alex's position, are you playing around Searing Spear? Not really. You have access to deck lists and know that your Olivia is pretty much in the clear the way that Devin's list is set up. He has a couple copies of Bonfire that, you know, you can't really access that turn.
Yeah, I don't actually particularly like Devin's hand this game. If you look, he has 3 charms in his hand. Obviously, as long as that Reckoner's around, those charms are going to be pretty good. If Alex has like a Tragic Slip here, we're going to see a heck of a turn on his turn. Pinging Arbor Elf, Tragic Slipping Boris Reckoner, really taking control of this game. And here's the Voice. And leaving 2 up again. You have to assume he has some kind of charm. Either the Boris charm or the Silesian. We know he has both in hand. It's a good feeling to have 4 bonfires in your deck still, not in your hand. You know they're coming, hopefully, somewhere. Yep. Miracles are afoot. I think we ping Arbor Elf here. I mean, I can't really see Alex's hand. I'm not sure what else he has, but I just love taking away mana, making my guy bigger. Attacking here is a little different, so he probably has a Thragtusk here.
Yeah.
I can't see him attacking otherwise. Yeah, he does. That explains why.
And I actually like this play quite a bit.
Oh, it's much better, yeah.
From Alex. Besides getting the Thragtusk in play, he also needs to be somewhat conscious of playing around Celestial Charm as Olivia. He doesn't want to just go all in on that and get it exiled. So
yeah. We're gonna have an exile. Yeah, definitely.
Taking a slightly more conservative path, try to bleed out one of the Celestial Charms because the Thragtusk does such a good job of blocking up the ground. And then after you run out of other things to do, maybe you can take the game over with your Olivia.
Yeah, he is going to Celestial Charm. Do you like this play here? Do you think the Celestial Charm is necessary?
I don't think he has much of. I think he has to use his mana that turn, given how clogged his hand is.
Right. I think he cannot use that second Celestial Charm because once that Olivia hits 5, he's going to need to kill it. Otherwise, we know how Olivia deals with creature decks.
Yeah.
Unchecked, it will be a wrap.
Yeah, I think he has to. I think he's compelled to use it there.
Okay.
It's not optimal, but
right.
In terms of how you want to trade cards or whatever, but I think he just needs to use his mana that turn.
Yeah, it doesn't really improve his board too much. Same thing's happening. Reckoner's getting in there. Devin is actually at a pretty low life total, 13 against obviously Olivia, who can really pack a punch. He has Wolfrun there also, so I think that definitely that second Celestial Charm has Olivia Boulder's name written all over it.
You're right, it's a little awkward for Alex to be using his removal here for a variety of reasons, turning on the Ooze and Voice Resurgence is a thing in play.
Do we have a miracle? And here, if he does have it, he has to think. All right, either this is the best bluff of all time, which is we don't really
Alex
like
has been doing subtler variations of the I think I just drew Bonfire tank, but I actually didn't.
This is Bonfire.
This is this is the real deal.
I would probably have a little word with him if he's Hollywooding us like this. I don't think it's there's much point to that. All right, so we are going in here. He's going to do 3 damage. Reckoner here is going to be able to kill Olivia.
But I believe
he's going to Boros Charm here.
I think Devin has. I think Devin has. Yeah, I think Devin has Boros Charm in hand.
This is going to be a disaster.
So he can give his team.
This is going to be bad. Alex is disgusted.
This is
This
a
is-
disaster. Devin's able to give his team indestructible. The 3 damage still goes to the Boros Reckoner, which is then redirected to Olivia, and just like that, the entire game is now swung around in Devin's favor.
It's you know he has Boros Charm, but he only has 2 copies, and he might bring the third one. I think you do bring the third one, knowing that Alex has 4 copies of Bonfire in his deck. It's just rough. Do you play around it? I don't think you it's hard to miracle, but he does leave 2 mana open again with Ooze tapping his Arbor Elf. So when I see Temple Guard and Sacred Foundry up, you got to be at least a little scared of it.
Yeah, but that's the spot that he's in there is it's Boros Charm or bust there, right?
Right,
You
right.
almost certainly win the game for sure if there's no Boros Charm there.
It's tricky. Because then, like you said, you most certainly lose if he does have Boros Charm. It kind of reminds me of the Snapcaster block from yesterday. Do you play when you have a decent board? Do you just run it in there and hope he doesn't have it? I think if he untaps and has Olivia, he gets to just shoot everything. He gets to ping the Scavenging Ooze twice. He gets to ping Arbor Elf. He gets to just make Olivia absurd and put the Boros or the Bonfire in his hand safely. But then again, I see his hand, and it's hard for me to lobotomize myself and take the Boros Charm out. What do you play Miracles for? To draw him or to, miracle him? Especially how conservative he played game 1, I would think he would play around it. But let's see what Alex can do. Let's see if he can come back from this huge nightmare of a miracle that he had.
Passes before damage. He's putting his Beast token in front of the Scavenging Ooze. I think Devin is happy to just eat and trade. Is he going to use his Celestia Charm to pump is the question.
I'm not against that. Then again, a second Miracle Bonfire would punish him for this, but...
Well, a second Miracle Bonfire doesn't allow him to save anything anyway because it's a bonfire for 5.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So
you're right.
he's going to just advance his board as much as possible.
No, we're
No,
not.
that's not a bonfire.
No, that's the usual creeper draw. It's like, I wish it was. It's kind of like when you look down at poker or anything like that. You just maybe the cards will change if you look at it hard enough. It's not the case here.
But Alex is still at a pretty comfortable life total. He's, between the Thragtusk and how effectively he's been able to block early on, he's got a lot of time to find some tools.
Right. It's just the Olivia being gone is a pretty rough state here. He has 4 mana. It might be a second Olivia, or it could be a Hunt Master. It looks like a Thragtusk here.
I think unless he might have undertapped for that.
Yeah, he
I
did
think.
undertap. Yeah,
Unless that Blood Crypt came into play untapped, which I
doubt that. Yeah, he definitely missed one land there. And of course, here's the captain of the team for Naya.
Thundermaw has been sitting in Devin's hand for a long time. He's finally found a second red mana.
And here comes pretty much a devastating amount. If the blocking here, which I think he might have to do, is going to deal 5 additional damage to him. Actually, he has first strike capability, so blocking here would be a disaster. Don't do it. Just kidding.
Well, he still may have to block here because if his only out is his bonfire, he may not be able to take this shot and then the subsequent shot from the big bonfire.
Let's see if he doesn't first strike here. If he takes 10, we have a little bit of life total confusion here. I'll say Sean Waihe has won. Jund has defeated Jund. So if this game continues down this road and Alex is slain here, we're going to have another Jund versus Naya finals, if that's the case.
Pillar of Flame the draw. And here is, looks like Olivia and Pillar are cards in hand for Alex.
We have to tap our mana a little bit. Is that a second Wolfram that he has there? I think you should definitely have tapped that.
No, that's an Overgrown Tomb.
Okay, okay, I
The
guess.
land all the way on the
Got
right.
it.
Pillar of Flame takes out the voice.
Not too bad. Being at 7, do you like the no blocks here on the Reckoner?
I don't think he can afford to block him.
No, well, the first time, I mean. Like you said, he might have been forced to block there. I think you were right. I think he probably should have just taken a walloping and then just hope for the best. But because he would be at 2 life, No, actually, he would be at 5 life if he blocked, and the board's going to allow the Thragtusk to kill it, or he would be at 10 life if he first striked it.
Devin contemplating his attacks. A lot of this is on board right now, but he has to make sure he's not killed on the way back by particular cards off the top of the deck.
4 life is pretty low here.
Sends everyone.
If Alex survives this, I don't know what Devin drew, but I don't know if he can survive this. He's gonna. I think he might have to chump block the Thundermaw Hellkite and then block the ooze on the ground to safely survive. Yeah, he's gonna have to block like this, which means Devin is dead unless he drew something, right?
Well, he gets to eat with the ooze. He gets to eat twice with Scavenging Ooze, both on the Arbor Elf and the Olivia.
The wolf run there is going to kill him, I think. Devin had to draw something, because otherwise this is a suicide attack.
Reckoner comes across. Ooze and Thragtusk trade. Olivia chumps.
He had to draw something. Otherwise we are going to... Let's see.
It was Domri.
Yep, he did draw something.
Huge draw. He has Reckoner.
Oh, he's going to fight his own. Yeah, he's going to fight there. That's going to be lethal. Yep.
And that's a lethal fight. And Devin Weiss
All right.
wins 2 games to 0. 2 very close games. A critical Boros charm.
Yeah.
To punk out that miracle bonfire.
Yeah. It was. And like we said, there's lots of ways. Magic is not as simplistic as black and white. Option A is better than option B. Obviously, with hindsight and seeing what's in his hand, we know option A was better than B.